Record. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me for this interview. Could you please introduce yourself and what you do?
Hi, I'm Samantha Medina. I'm a sixth grade teacher at Nicolaf Elementary. This is actually my first year as a classroom teacher, and I subbed for about 4 or 5 years
Wow.
in the Chula Vista and South Bay Union District.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to present the screen with the questions here. So let me just find the button. Just let me know if you can see it. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. So I'm just gonna go ahead with the first question, and the first question would be, what would be the optimum learning situation for learning?
Since we just came from a pandemic, I believe the optimal learning situation will be having smaller class sizes. I currently have 29 students. I started with 30 students, 32 students. And I can see that students are struggling and that they require that more like personalized instruction one-on-one. So I believe like 20 will be a good class size just because there's a lot of needs that the students are requiring, especially after the pandemic. So smaller class sizes will be our best bet if we want to serve our students properly.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. And for number two, what would the teacher be doing in that type of situation, like you said?
Small group instruction, I more than rather than like large group or like whole group instruction, it will be the best ideal. Simply because, as I mentioned, like after the pandemic, there's a lot of retention, not just because there's always like that held back or like a small regression, I'm sorry, after long periods of time, like summer break, winter break. But since they were pretty much at home for 2 years, you can definitely see that regression more severe, especially in those students that are require that one-on-one assistance or that require additional support, like with reading, math. So definitely like small group instruction targeting those areas of needs will be the best thing to support our students.
Okay, thank you. And for number three, it would be, what would the students be doing in that situation?
Mm, well, they'll be working with the teacher, working also independently, depending on their grade level. I have sixth grade, so a lot of them requires them to be independent just because they need to be ready to move on to middle school. So independent work with the teacher supervision will be optimal, and clarifying questions, just being there for them, and students being more proactive and taking that initiative of asking like what they need, what they're struggling with. Now with all this time that they haven't been in school, they still are like, you can tell the students need and they want to learn, but sometimes they're too shy to ask. So they like the ideal way or like situation will be like having them speak up for themselves, like ask for what they need.
I like that idea, yeah. And then for number four, what kind of learning materials would students be using?
Books, what else, technology, that's now that with distance learning, I think it opened up our whole like a whole new world for us to really use technology properly and really embed it, especially now that kids are really tech savvy, and they know how to use technology sometimes better than we do. So why not use that for our advantage?
Yeah,
Like
true.
technology will be a big one, but also keeping it a little old school with books,
Mhm.
paper. They also need to work on their writing, so paper, pencil, and reading a good book, teaching them how to use it.
Yeah, thank you. And then for number five, what would the assessments look like?
Well, same with the learning materials that we're using. Sometimes, like to me, especially in math, it's there's a lot of value on paper and pencil. See how they like their writing, how they think, how they reason the problems. And but there's other in other subjects that where technology will be more appropriate, and just depending on the subject, the topic, see if it's something that you will do weekly, by unit, depending on what the subject is, or the topic, what it requires.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I greatly appreciate it. And do you have any other remarks that you would like to share?
No, I mean, there's a lot to do for these kids now. I mean, like I said, it's my first year in the actual classroom. I had several experiences doing long-term assignments. So now that I get to be in the classroom with my own students, I can see the needs and the areas where the students really need to grow on. I did all my student teaching online. So now I can see the difference, how like some kids might we really do well with online learning. Others, they need to be in person. They need to be writing at paper and pencil. And so I can see kind of like the benefit of both worlds. So, I mean, kids need us, and that's finding what they need. That's our job. So,
Well, thank you again for your perspective and your experiences. And thank you so much for your time.
you're welcome.
Thank you.